What's up, David? Hey, it's Bob from TNT Customs. It's TNT Tuesday, May the 4th. Be with you. Not much of a Star Trek geek, but I saw that on Bookface this morning and thought I'd interject that. So, how you doing, Byron, Cotty, Vince? All right, so we're gonna do a short Tech Tuesday. We have a previous build in the shop we're doing some maintenance on, tidying up a few steering issues he's having. But it's our stretched two-door JK. Let's see if I can flip it. And we're late because our other helpers had technical difficulties, so I'm on my phone. What are you doing in North Carolina, Steve? Hi, Don. So, stretched two-door JK. Sorry, the lighting in here is not awesome. I keep getting glares. We did this Jeep a year and a half. What's up, Aaron? So, this was kind of our prototype test mule for our two-door stretch, and get all the armor, all the suspension, everything dialed in so it is a complete package. So as you're looking at, that is corners. So that's and we do a 6-inch stretch, and that light I know is killing me. Try and get square. And what more do you need? It's fully drooped at the moment, but when it's at ride height, the tire is flush here. You have 0 departure angle. So any more than a 6-inch stretch, I know a lot of people think they need to do 8. There's a certain fella that thinks he needs to do 12. I don't know, maybe he's making up for something that's short. I don't know, what do you think, William? But 6 gives you a very well-balanced build, right? The reason I went 6 is because most of our customers live in a place that needs emissions to continue to function, right? So with our 6-inch stretch, you can see that's a YJ filler bezel. And by using that YJ filler bezel, we're able to leave all the fuel system, the filler neck, undisturbed. So all of your emissions are intact. You do the 8-inch, you can use your imagination. There's the, get my hand out of the way. There's the wheel opening Mary was talking about last week with Tanner. That all goes that way, another 2 inches, right? 8 minus 6 is 2, so it's simple math. Well, you can see where that radius would cut right through. There's nowhere to put the gas filler. Now, I know some people don't care about that. Cindy, how are you? What's up, Lane? But some do. So we chose to do 6 so we didn't have to manipulate or mess with any of the factory emission systems. You know, you heard Mary and Tanner talking last week about our Guardian sliders and corner package. I don't know if I can get it tall enough. I can't lower the Jeep right now because I got posts under the front, but right up there, oh, there it is. There, you can see the flange. So the flange, no, Cindy, you can't. You're kind of committed to the factory tank, especially with you being in California with emissions problems. Some guys are doing a fuel cell, you know, back up in the back. Problem with a fuel cell with you in particular in California, off-road only. You will never put plates on that Jeep ever again. At least that's my understanding. I don't live there, never will live there. Yeah, Mary, she does have a two-door. So this 6-inch stretch will keep you on a factory tank, all the factory emissions intact. So as far as I'm concerned, you should be able to keep it California compliant. Now, your mileage may vary. Like I said, I don't live there, never will. So that's how the corner and slider actually go together. I know last week they had them all hanging on the powder coating rack to kind of give you an idea what we could do. This actually shows everything put together. So I'll flip the camera back around again. So yeah, you can see you got the corner, tailgate opening, the max built trail tail recessed tail lights that we do, YJ bezel moving forward ties right into the Guardian slider. And again, apologize for all the glare, but we're a working shop, not a film studio. So the sliders are tied together, and I remember Mary saying something about, you know, moving your hole. Well, that could be a different conversation, but you moved your wheel opening back, so you leave a huge gap there. Well, we shift the wheel well opening, the hole, but we bring the slider back to boot. So you can slide down the slider, down the slider, down the slider, hit the tire, pick up and over, and never damage. You know, a traditional slider will stop somewhere in that neighborhood, probably about there. So you're leaving all of that unfilled or unprotected. Utah, you have options, Cindy. Not sure I would go to New Mexico. In my opinion, that's worse than California, but you know, your mileage may vary as well. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Wyoming, Mary said Wyoming's full, so that's not an option. I guess your really only option, well, we're going to get to this here in a minute, Cindy, so stay tuned, pay attention. The reason I say you got to keep the factory tank or go to a fuel cell is because when you stretch, and I'm going to see if I can get away from the glare, I mean, see where the shocks are mounted? Where are you going to put a gas tank? You're not. So we give you a full, yes, Aaron, we are. We actually have signs up at the border. We're full. So to do the 6-inch stretch correctly, again, world according to Bob, you have to move everything back with it. Well, you're moving your axle back. That's easy. Build control arms, shove the axle back, you know. Shove them back as far as you want. All you got to do is cut more tube or measure longer pieces of aluminum. I mean, that's the easy part. It's all of the associated parts that come with the axle, springs, shocks, brake lines, sway bar, all of those things. Well, we've got all of that worked out for you. As with all of our kits, I try to do all the homework and heavy lifting here so that you have something you can put together at home or have a local shop do it. So we built, I'll flip this back around again. It's hard to see because there's a lot of stuff going on in here. So there's your shock cross member. There. And it goes all the way across to the other side, you know. Sorry, the video's not great when I do stuff like that, but so you're frame to frame, right? Sorry for the fast moving. Hopefully nobody got seasick. You've probably been under your two-door, and that there is the very back body mount, right? You can see the the factory rolled edge and everything, well, there's our shock mount. It just butts, maybe you can see it there. It just locks right into that body mount. So put it on a frame, slide it all the way back, and it's in the right place. It's simple, weld it on. These shock mounts up here, that's all jig welded. If I can get my phone, sway bars on, there it is. So those are all fully gusseted and jig welded. That whole shock mount is one complete assembly. You just, Grasshopper, how you been, buddy? So, you know, it's easy. You don't have to think about, well, where do I put my shocks, or how do I make a tab, or where do I put a bracket? You just take this cross member off the pallet, put it in. It's pretty simple. Moving forward, you can see, there you can see the hat channel there in the body. There used to be a big ass cross member, so that would be a BAC, big ass cross member, that ran across your frame. We cut that out, it's in the way. We give you new shock tower or upper shock mounts. Those take a little finagling. They're measured, coil buckets. They're measured off of a location off the frame, which is in the instructions. It's not real hard. Pull the tape, make a chalk line, put the coil bucket on. It has a lip that fits over the top of the frame, so you just kind of, I don't know if I can do this, just kind of slide it up and in, right? And slide it back and forth on the frame till you hit your chalk mark. Then we put in a tubular cross member behind it to strengthen the frame back all up and tie it all up. On the passenger side, you notice, it's kind of hard to see because there's a lot of shit in the way, but this side of the coil bucket drops way down. So it has your track bar mount built into the coil bucket. It's all one piece. So now you get a track bar mount that moves the appropriate amount that you stretched. There again, don't have to think about it. We even give you, on this one, I'm still working on the 12 and newer, but it's pretty simple. We made a evap canister relocation gizmo. So it welds right to that cross member, puts the evap canister over here tucked out of the way. Everything's still fully functionable. This guy lives in Colorado, by the way. Thanks, Aaron. So then track bar, go way over here. And we've showed you this on the last couple of 4-doors we've built. Our all-in-one lower control arm mount, shock mount, and track bar mount. You can see, for those of you that are really in tune with your Jeeps, your factory track bar bolt is over here somewhere. It's on the inside of the spring. Really short track bar. Makes the rear end do stupid things when you really start articulating, flexing it. We gain you, if memory is right, 6.5 inches on this end of the track bar. And then you'll notice that end of the track bar is also kicked outboard. I don't know if you can see it. Visualize that relationship. Bolt to edge of spring, bolt to edge of spring. It's the same. So we have as wide a track bar as you can put in it. It really improves the roll center and drivability. So in the kit, you're going to get the control arms, the rear shock mount, the upper one, the lower axle brackets. We can make them for a stock axle, which is 3 1/8 inch tube, if memory serves. We can do 3 1/2, which most of your Dana 60s are. And we can also do a 4-inch bracket for those guys running a Dana 80 or a 14 bolt. All them brackets are available in those different axle tube sizes. If you have something bizarre, I don't know, whatever, a custom built rear end with, say, 3 3/4 inch axle tube. Okay, call, we can make them. But I think the stock 3 1/8, 3 1/2, and 4 pretty much cover every axle you could conceivably put in a JK. You'll see, just like on them other Jeeps, we did our coil buckets, which are adjustable about 1.5 inches. Allows you to fine tune that lower coil mount perpendicular to the upper mount, so your coil springs are operating correctly. There's a bump stop tab or mount stop, whatever, the bump stop pads, there we go. That comes in the kit. This one is obviously a Curry rock chalk, Dana 60, so we used the Curry bridge, but then we supply an upper control arm mount that welds onto that bridge. So you're going to get everything there. If you have a no, Cindy, you could put this all on a stock axle. There are some compromises that have to be made, but it is doable. The biggest headache you'll run into is that clearance right there, caliper to sway bar. So that may need to be finagled a little bit, but it's doable. Speaking of sway bar, we reuse the factory sway bar. It's no big deal. You could, the problem with like an anti-rock, because the anti-rocks fit up here on top of the frame, well, you can see where the end of the shock cross member is. Get my bearings right. Yeah, that's right about the same place that an anti-rock would go, but your anti-rock is mounted here and going that way. So it's going to have the arms that are supplied by Curry are obviously made to fit where they designed the sway bar to a factory axle dimension. Now you move the axle 6 inches back. You could, in theory, chop the sway bar arms down, but the spring rate on the sway bar would go through the roof. And basically our only option to put, say, a Curry anti-rock on the back was way back here. There you can kind of see the end of the frame. So one, it would be hanging way down here in the weeds. It didn't work. And truth be told, it didn't need it on this Jeep. We went to a heavier sway bar on the front, Curry anti-rock on the front, so he's connected all the time. And this factory sway bar is working just fine. Like I said, it's a very balanced kit. It drives bitchin' on the highway. Wheels, well, I won't show you the passenger side because Brian thinks he's got a buggy now. He's been doing all the hard stuff in Colorado and Utah. Just got back from a trip in St. George and had a little oops. So the passenger side technically needs some body work. But he's pushing this Jeep anywhere anybody else is, and probably in some cases more places than most. The suspension, let me get back to that. So you can see this lower control arm mount is new. Well, this one's used, but was new with the kit. It locates off of that body mount. It's got little notches here that I put in, so all I gotta do is slide it up and it fits in between the body mount. You really can't screw up the location. It can only go one place. Put it on, weld it on. So that sets you up for a lower that is 6 inches longer than stock, but we're doing the high clearance lower mounts, so it changes geometry. And for you guys that want to stretch more than 6, you can buy our blanks. Tell Mary that you're going to do the 2-door stretch. You want the Guardian blank so that it all ties into the slider. And then you could change this end out here for a stretch end. And then you've still got, these are fully collapsed. You could put a stretch end on here, gain another 2 inches, and then unthread them, say another 2 inches. So in theory, you could go a 10-inch stretch on this kit with no problems. You know, you're gonna have to deal with a gas filler and making your own corners and things of that nature, but it's in the kit. You can do it if you want to do that. We do get back under here. Tanner, let me have your light. It's easier if I drive. So under here, see if I can get some light on it and get far enough away with the camera. There we go. So we do a 3-link, right? It's an equal length 3-link. So there's the upper going down to the top of the rock jock. This is probably the hardest part to put in. Yeah, shine that up there somewhere. I got to get farther away. There we go. So that's probably the hardest part of the kit, is putting that upper mount in. The front up there behind the transfer case, there you can see that, barely see there's a hole right there. So that hole lines up with a factory hole in that cross member. So that's how you know you got it in the right place. So, but this one back here, and maybe if I come up here, it's better. There. You actually have to cut a section of that factory cross member out so we can slide that all the way up and through. It's kind of like our outboard shock kit for the, yeah, Bobby did this all at home. How you doing, Bobby? He, you know, he was I think you were the first one to install out of the shop. You know, I kind of babysitted him a little bit, but not a lot. He had a few questions here and there, and away he went. And his Jeep wheels like a monster. He's down there, if you see him out and about, somewhere in southern Indiana, Louisville, Middle Indiana, so, you know, the Badlands area. He wheels all over Kentucky, Tennessee, all of that. So if you see him out and about, stop and ask him. It's a pretty cool little Jeep. So, and Bobby, remind me, you're still on factory diffs, right? I think so. And so that would answer your question, Cindy. It's, you know, it's not for the faint of heart. You're cutting and grinding, and, you know, you're pretty much going to a point of no return on your Jeep. I mean, it seems like that for a while, and then stuff starts stacking up, and you start welding it home and put some paint on it, and next thing you know, you're driving it. So if anybody has any more questions, particularly on this kit, you can put them in the comments and I'll answer them later. Tanner has a pretty good handle on this kit, so, you know, if you call in and talk to Tanner, he can put your mind at ease, or make sure all the right pieces get to you. The front we pair with our tried and true Y-Link. You know, it's a bolt-in. The front is literally a bolt-in operation. You get a new suspension cross member here. You know, that bolts in. The center section drops out of it, so you can service your transmission if you ever needed to someday. You know, our Y-Link arm, been using that on everything forever. I will caution anyone who tries to put this together with a Rock Jock 60. It's a bit of a handful. We will actually have to ship, so make sure you tell Tanner or Mary if you're doing a Dana 60, the Super Duty front end, I know that's popular, or the Rock Jock. The Dynatrac Pro Rock 60, I think you'd be okay, but where the upper mount is on the rock jock housing and a 1350 U-joint, which you're going to run into with our truss for the 99 to 04 Super Duty front end and a 1350 U-joint, the upper control arm, it's really tight. So if you're doing that particular combination, you want to let the guys know when you order it. We will have to ship you the driver's side Y-link unassembled and unpowder coated so that you can assemble that. The Fusion axle bobby is a rock jock center section, so for all intents and purposes, they're the same. As I understand it, they're getting most of their hard parts from Curry and then building their own shafts and gears and whatnots, but the center section is from Curry. So yeah, you would have a little difficulty with that as well. But once you, and the thing you got to do, if you can see, that upper control arm mount is vertical versus angled in like it is on this side. So I need, with a 1350 U-joint, which if you're going to Dana 60s, why would you do anything else? You need to rotate, because that is on an angle like that from our jig for a normal Jeep. This side of it's, you're going to have drive shaft interference right at the yoke. So what we did is we turned this one up and then did some creative angling at that joint. So now, you know, all of our stuff comes out of a jig, it'll drop right in, but when you rotate that bracket up, then nothing fits. So we send you this whole upper arm loose, unassembled, and that bracket not welded to the control arm mount so that you can put the passenger side in, right? It'll bolt right in. Get everything lined up, caster set, wheelbase set. You put this side lower in so you can get wheelbase. That upper will then hold the front end together. So you get caster and all of your stuff dialed in, get the track bar adjusted so the front end is square, and then you build out of the pieces we send you, you build that upper arm to fit so it'll all clear. And the key is really standing that particular bracket straight up and down, the upper to lower connection point. Once you have that tacked up in that vertical position, you can take all the rest of the pieces and start building that upper arm, and it'll all fall right together for you. If matching powder coat is something that is of a concern to you, once you have all of your pieces, if you're not even confident in welding that, if you get them all tacked up and send them back, we will finish weld them and powder coat them and send them back to you. Or we can give you a powder coat code and you can take it to your local powder coater and everything will match. So, you know, that's easy stuff. To finish it off, you know, we have our Guardian bumper. It's just an off-the-shelf Guardian bumper. That was another reason we went to the 6-inch stretch, so I didn't have to reinvent another bumper. With any more than a 6-inch stretch, that whole area of the bumper is a problem. Could be a problem for you if you're running bigger than 40-inch rubber. This Jeep has 40-inch Goodyears on it. We've tried with a few other 40s, everything clears fine. For you guys that are running 42s or bigger, you know, may the saw be with you. You're going to have to do some trimming. You know, we did upgrades on this one. We Frenched air bumps in. Pretty simple. That's a Fox air bump setup. So we just Frenched that into the frame. pretty simple. So yeah, 2-door stretch for a JK. So I guess that's all I got. If you have any specific questions, put them in the comments. I'll get back to it this afternoon and try and answer those. Thanks, Aaron. You make covers that will cover. Oh yeah. Good call, Bobby. So to put that rear shock mount cross member, the one I showed you before, your trunk's got to die. It's got to go. It's in the way. So we make a cover assembly once you cut that out, and we kind of give you a basic walkthrough of where to cut to get that out of there. And the new one is, I mean, if you're into this level of project, the cover that goes back in, you'll figure it out. It's really simple. It's got some tabs and slots that kind of self-locate it and fit it in, little hammer and dolly work if needed. And then a bunch of spot welds, some seam sealer, and paint of your choice, and bada boom, bada bang. Trunk is gone. So yes, a good call on that one, Bobby. The trunk has to go away. What other specialty? Really, that's it. It takes a little planning, some time. Gladiator's out front. It's in the parking lot. So that's what I said. I'm gonna cut this off because I've got to start getting prepped for spring adventure. I think we're under 2 weeks now before I leave. Finally got suspension where I want it. Should be able to handle the load that I'm going to throw at it here in the next couple of days as we start packing and organizing. After I test that system that I developed on this week-long adventure, come back and make any tweaks if I need to, and then that kit will be ready to go. We went a little different route as usual. I never do anything like anybody else does. So we've kind of got, with that sign, that kind of gives you a clue what we have on there. We're Radflow shocked all the way around on that truck. Use the air bumps on the front. Really tickled with those. We had to send rear shocks back and have them revalved because I am using a much heavier rate spring than everybody else is out there. So Glenn took his best shot out of the box and we had to make a minor adjustment. So I had to send shocks back to California, but he got them right. So we're pretty tickled with that, how it rides and drives. Tent, hopefully we'll go back on it this afternoon so I can start that project, getting all the gear on it. Still have to figure out how I'm securing my ARB fridge, Dometic. I got the Dometic goes in the back, big 100-quart dual fridge freezer, so I can haul enough food for all the folks that are going to be with me here in 2 weeks. All my Lodge cast iron, I don't do anything the easy way. Everything's heavy. So this is going to be the real maiden voyage for Spartacus. See if we can make Megalander retire and move on to some greener pastures. So we'll get all of that stuff loaded up and see what's going on there. What are we doing? As I think Beth or Chris, whoever's on here, we still have a couple of spaces at Rockin' Woods. Actually, we got lots of spaces. I can take up to 20 Jeeps on Rockin' Woods. So
that's a lot.
So if you want to go play in the big rocks in South Dakota in June, July, so that transitional week there, the last couple of days of June, first couple of days of July, we have plenty of space there. I've got 1 or 2 spaces on the Morrison. The only thing I'll tell you there, Not for the faint of heart. There's 20, 21, 27. I don't know, I have to look at my notes. Switchbacks. It is a very, if you think if any of you have done Black Bear Pass, if you think Black Bear is scary, yeah, Black Bear's like driving to the mall. It is extremely narrow. A JK, JL, Gladiator, it's about as wide as you want to be on that trail. So it's cool. It's a good time. Got 1 or 2 spaces there. Once we get done with the actual Morrison, we'll be camping up top. And then the next day moving into Montana, another cool trail I've been wanting to do for years. And so we're going to take you up into Montana. So you're going to get lots of high country, lots of beautiful lakes, mountains. It's a pretty good deal. Northwoods in the UP, I got 1 or 2 spaces left on that one. That's a 101, what we call Adventure 101. So very basic. I mean, this is entry level. Stock Jeep will do that. So you don't need your crawler. You don't need nothing on 40s. You just need a reliable vehicle. We're going to see hopefully Mother Nature cooperates. If you've never seen the fall colors up there with all the hardwoods, it is spectacular. And not to mention we get to camp at Gitchagumi. The shores of Superior are pretty phenomenal. For those that don't know what that means, Lake Superior, one of the 5 Great Lakes. So pretty cool. Superior's a bitchin' lake. So we'll be camping on the lake shore a couple of nights. And then to follow out the season is Fall Adventure, which this year is over in central Utah, San Rafael Swell. Pretty spectacular over there. So I've got room on some of those trips. If you would like, it's info@forexploring.com. And I think, and yeah, Tanner's going to be 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. 13th through the 16th of May. Great American Crawl? Great American Crawl is at the Badlands Park in Indiana. So Tanner and some of our terrain masters will be there. And speaking of terrain masters, we're trying to get something together for next week's TNT Tuesday. Maybe if we can find somebody with the right technology, we can actually get one of the terrain masters, kind of split screen thing going. So tune in next week. We'll be talking about some of our terrain masters and what it is to us in our Why I Wheel series. It should be a pretty good episode. So tune in next week. And with that note, I think I'm going to sign out and go find some chow and get back to work. So everybody have a good Tuesday. Anybody local, the Rough Country Four-Wheelers meeting is tonight at Uncle Charlie's, 7 o'clock. So we'll go hang out with the local club and see what they've been up to and see what they're doing this summer. Usually the May meeting is a kind of a planning for summer meeting, so it should be a pretty good time. And then, you can see Brian's stretch 2-door on the lift. So we'll see you guys next week. See ya.